Blake.
Hello.
Congratulations on your new bundle of joy.
Thank you.
You talked about
Is that him? Is he my new bundle of joy?
So cute.
Surprise.
You can hold him in your arms. You talked about how you included fashion over time into your character. How did you take like mannerisms and how women have aged over time and their rights and their freedoms into your character into the modern day?
Well, that was a huge thing because there's a formality to Adeline, even in present time. We explored different versions. Like I think Jane Fonda's so rad. So I was like, I want to talk like her and I want to look like her. But she came of age in a time where, she was fighting for, free love and she had a voice and she used it. But Adeline came of age in the Edwardian era. I mean, she lived through the 20s. She was around when women didn't have rights, and then was a part of that, and then figuring out how women fit into society and culture. And what was really neat about the wardrobe is when you look at the history of fashion, there's a reason that the shift dresses and the drop waist were more loose than the more buttoned up things of the Edwardian era. And then that happens again, history repeats itself again a bit from the 50s, where it's very conservative and corseted and buttoned up, and women's hair is very tight and proper to loose and flowing in the 60s, and it's reflective of the free love. And so where women fit into society socially and politically was reflected in the fashion, but it was also reflected in the mannerisms. So I could have been a woman from the 50s or a woman from the 60s in each of those different decades. But when you look at when a woman comes of age, they're normally most defined by that era. So my grandma came of age in the 20s, and she was very much that woman. Or if you look at someone who came of age in the 60s, there is a looseness or fire to them, a positive looseness, not like a hussy looseness, but maybe a hussy looseness too. Hey, I don't know who your grandmas are boning.
This is a judgment-free stage, right?
But anyway, so it was really about defining, capturing that woman from the 20s, and then sort of letting her evolve and change over time.
And you have a dialect thing too, don't you? A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Did you ever want it to be like, hey, look, I'm in the modern era? I don't know.
Well, I looked at Jane Fonda and I was like, I want to talk like her, because she kind of like talks through her teeth in a really sexy way. But she speaks in a very empowered way. Her voice is something that she's very proud of, where Adeline had to be a bit more quiet and reserved, and, that be seen and not heard thing that was instilled in her at a young age, and then sort of growing out of that and changing. So yeah, I had to change my dialect. I also like mumble and talk like I'm from Burbank, California, which... everyone knows I'm from New York.
Yeah, I've been watching you with my girlfriend since Gossip Girl and all that. But my question is this.
Oh, your girlfriend watches Gossip Girl, not you?
Yeah. I watch it because of her, but anyways.
Yeah, I know that.
But is there a difference between your character Serena and now with Adeline in terms of like vibe and all that?
Well, Adeline is not a socialite in New York. She hasn't given anyone a drug overdose. She's
magically stopped aging. That is a huge part of the movie.
She's not brothers with her ex-boyfriend. Her new stepbrother's father is not a ghost. There's just a few small similarities, differences like that. Oh yeah, season 2.
Wow.
Yeah,
gotta catch up.
A ghost came in season 2. That's when you say maybe it's better if we don't have a script. But it's still entertaining, nonetheless. But yeah, there's a lot of differences, but there's an elegance to women that are of times past that you don't see as much in characters or contemporary women. In film, not in contemporary women in general.
Hi. You talked a bit about kind of needing feedback after you finish a scene, which I can completely identify with as an actor myself. And so I wanted to kind of hear a little bit more about your process as an actor and how you prepare for your film roles.
It's always terrifying. And it's neat to see people like Harrison Ford show up to set and still really care. And you all think you're ready, and then him saying, okay, let's all sit down together and let's look at the scene and let's make it the best possible. Let's make it as honest as possible. And to have that luxury of being able to do that is incredible, but also seeing that he's even kind of nervous in that. Or my husband just worked with Dame Helen Mirren, and the night before she's like, oh, I'm so nervous. And he's like, what's going on in your life? She's like, well, we're starting this movie tomorrow. And he said, well, yeah, but so? And she's like, I just always get so nervous before. I just don't know. I don't feel like I know what I'm doing. So that's nice to hear. But you know, yeah, to rely on feedback from your other, you know, for your scene partner is always a scary thing to have to rely on, because when you work with someone that's method and you're not supposed to have a positive relationship necessarily. Like, you know, I worked with Maria Bello on Private Lives of Pippa Lee, and she really, it helps her in the beginning of the day, the end of the day, to feel like her character. It's not that she's going around and abusing me between scenes, but she sort of keeps to herself. And our first scene together, I took a full bottle of her pills and I'm screaming and crying and I slap her and she slaps me, and it's just an incredibly emotional scene. And then she wouldn't talk to me between scenes, and I thought, she wants to have me fired, she hates me, this is horrible. And then I'd work with Julianne Moore in the same film, who's like joking about her kids between scenes, and then they slate and like she goes like right into this like creepy girlfriend of my aunt. And I really saw that both of them were incredible actors and both had very different processes, and they both got great results, and I saw how each of their processes were affecting me, and that was the thing that scared me. Is I thought, I need to, whatever it is that I do, I wasn't doing as well around Maria as I was around Julianne, because I needed her to say, you're doing great. And not until we finished the movie, she was like, I'm so happy to work with you. I feel like we did such great work together. Do you feel good about it? And I was like, God, could you have said that on day one? And she would send me nice text messages when she saw the movie, and like, we've been so great and friendly ever since. But I just didn't know her process, and that really, it did throw me off. And so I just need to figure out how to not need the feedback in the moment, you know?
Hi, Blake.
Hello.
So I've noticed a trend that a lot of actors seem to want to like separate themselves from the works that made them bigger when they were younger. So do you mind being so closely associated with Gossip Girl and Serena van der Woodsen?
That's a good
Well,
question.
I wasn't so closely associated with it. I wouldn't be here, you know. I'd be pimping my ride somewhere, like trying to get a job. But you know, it's less about being so closely associated with it because of it's what people know you for, and you want to separate yourself with it just because it's because of the pop culture association with it, and more about never wanting to define yourself as any one thing. Especially as an artist, you want to be able to evolve and change and constantly not only surprise other people but surprise yourself, and that's easier when you're jumping from film to film because they have shorter lives, where the films can live for a long time, but you're only watching someone on screen for an hour and a half, however many times you see that movie. Or with a TV show, someone's in your house once a week for 6 years. I mean, we shot 10 months out of the year, so people really feel like they know you as that character. But what's been most challenging, I think, for me, just on a personal level, is people feel like they know me as that character personally. And yes, I lived in Manhattan and I did not do anything to help myself. I would take home wardrobe, I would date my person I'm dating on the movie, who's also my brother, Little Game of Thrones. I didn't date my brother on the show. I didn't date the ghost.
Okay.
But you know, but there was a ghost that came into my, you know, so we were all buddies, so we didn't really do anything to help matters there. But that's the thing that I always find to be most challenging, is that I feel like even when I give interviews and I'm making some ridiculous joke, they print it and sort of print it as if like some elitist jerkhole was saying it, because I'm known for being this Upper East Side girl that would never say something like that, you know. And so that's been the sort of tricky thing for me personally, is feeling like that's not me, like don't think of me like that. So
Hi, Blake. Congratulations on your baby, first of all. You look amazing.
Thank you.
See where you get the good genes from.
Whoa. She's single. No, I'm joking. She's not.
My question, me and my buddy Greg here, we're really deep into Misner, so we wanted to know what technique works for you, and do you have any memorable breakthroughs that you can share with us?
Wait, what is Misner?
It's
a technique.
Acting technique.
An acting technique?
Yeah.
Not everyone knows that.
I'm
He just
sorry.
said that.
Oh, okay. Well, it could be a religion for all, you know.
You know, for me, I always feel like I'm faking it, which is like probably something I shouldn't say out loud. These are the inner thoughts. No, but you know, I grew up. All my family, all my siblings were actors. My parents had an acting class, and I grew up in it and around it. But when I actually fell into it, I didn't feel like I had really earned it. So there are times when I've done, I've read these acting books and explored different techniques and gotten really deep into that. And then I would get so in my head that I would do a worse job. And then there are other times where I would just go in and I would really, really work with the actor and the director and the script and hammer it out and try to imagine what it would be like to be in that scenario. So it was a little bit more imaginative than it is studied, but you're studying it with the people that you're collaborating with. That to me has been more helpful, because when the times when I've done all the work ahead on my own, then you're with someone else, everyone's got their own vision, and you could just like, you sort of implode, and it's hard to be as agile. So I find it best I felt most comfortable and most happy with the outcome when I sit and you talk about what's not on the screen, what's not happening here, and you give all of that backstory together so you're all operating under the same world. That's what works best for me. And then also I felt really insecure when I would see like Maria be method and see how good she was, and I thought, I'm giggling between takes and I should be crying and like, holding my knees and acting like I just took a bottle of pills. But then I would see Julianne Moore just talk about her kids, and literally until the moment that thing slated, and I thought, it's okay to not do that as well. You can, it's again, just there's no judging yourself is the most harmful thing I found.
Hi, Blake. I saw the movie this weekend, and it was wonderful.
Thank you.
And I remember reading in Vogue that you were drawn to this role because it's so rare that a woman really gets to be at the heart and center of a film, and that Adeline just felt like a very naturally complex and interesting character. So I was wondering, what was your favorite thing about playing her, and if it felt different from other roles that you've had?
Well, it felt incredibly different. I think most actors want to be in a period piece film, and I got to be in a multi-period piece film, which is very rare. But what I love most about Adeline is there aren't many movies that women are in the center of them. Kate Blanchett's Oscar speech talking about, look, people want to see movies with women at the center. And then after that, there was a little bit of a trend of, let's make these movies. And then that kind of like cycles out again. And it's a shame that happens. But what I loved about Adeline is that she was multifaceted, and she had her flaws and she had her strengths, and she wasn't really judged either way, where normally women's role is to be the heroine and she's celebrated, or it's to be the villain, whether she's an evil queen or whether she's a drug addict. When they're multifaceted, it's because there's all these dark layers of complexity, or they're this prize for the man, or they're this really charming, dazzling woman. But to have a woman like Annie Hall, who's complex and interesting, and there are great things about her and there are terrible things about her, but she is just honestly a woman. That's very rare, and that's what I liked about Adeline. I mean, she could have even had more flaws. I think we could have pushed that a lot more. But an honest representation of a woman, you don't really get to see a multifaceted, complex woman in film enough. But you do get to see complex, multifaceted men a lot, which is disappointing.
I had nothing to do with it, I swear.
I think it's great to see men too, but I think that it's a shame that women often play one role or the other. Yeah. And that's why I'm drawn to these characters that are I joke that I only ever play a prostitute or a drug addict, because the women that are very layered and complex, that aren't just the prize for the women, are normally dark when they're layered and complex. But that's not honest, They can have their complexities and they can have their darknesses, but there's a lot more to the story than you often see.
Well, let's thank Blake Lively for a wonderful chat.
Thank you, guys.